You know, when I look around at all the entrepreneurs who are grinding it out, spending 70 to 80 hours per week growing their business, you have to ask yourself the question, at what cost? Hi, my name's Tim Uchuk, and in this podcast, we're going to be exploring the tools, tactics, and strategies for crushing it and scaling your business without making the ultimate sacrifice of your time and freedom. Hey, what's up, everyone? It is Saturday morning, and I'm just headed to the Medi Center because my surgery on my head last week, I have to get the stitches taken out, which is fun. So I'm gonna go get that done, and then we got some adventures planned with the kids for later today. So I've got about a 20-minute drive in front of me, and I was up early this morning working on something for our group around accountability. So I was asking for ways that we could, help get more momentum, more traction within our coaching group. And one of the big things was accountability. And I think especially if you're in a leadership position, if you are a entrepreneur or one of the executives in your business, it can be lonely at the top, and a lot of people don't understand the weight and the pressure that can rest on your shoulders. And so oftentimes just having community is helpful, but accountability is really helpful as well, because when you're at the top as well, there's nobody looking over your shoulder to make sure that you're actually choosing the activities that are most important on a day-to-day basis rather than what you like. And we're all to some extent procrastinators, so accountability was the request. And so in this podcast, I want to share with you what we're launching this week and how I'm setting it up and how you can apply some of these tactics within your life, your business, to help yourself to be more accountable and to just get more traction each week. Okay, so how I'm setting it up is we're essentially going to have at the start of each week, you're going to call your shot for the week. And then at the end of the week, you will have to confirm whether or not you completed the activity, the shot that you've called in terms of what you want to check off for the week. And so with this accountability, I'm going to be dropping in some best practices to help set yourself up for success. Because when it comes down to executing, and you look at the people that are able to consistently execute versus those who, they talk about doing something and then they might start it, but they just don't follow through with it. You'll notice, and there are many white paper studies to back these things up. There are patterns at play, and those that are able to achieve, sustained success by an ability to execute, they're just following patterns. And if you know the patterns, if you follow the patterns, then you can achieve some pretty awesome results as well. So I want to share some of those patterns in terms of how I'm hoping to set up our team for success. So the first one is that I want to share with you, and again, these are really easy things that you can do in your world and apply today. So the first is my 3x3 strategy, which is if you had, let's say you just got a ton of things on your plate, if there were only three, if you could only pick three out of everything that you want to get done over the next week, and you couldn't do anything else, what would they be? Three for the week. What would those be? And by applying this constraint, what's happening is you're being forced to prioritize and pick the things that are probably going to be a higher ROI, I would imagine. If you can only pick three, what are those things going to be? So three for the week, and then 3x3 means three for the day. So each the night before. So I like to plan tomorrow today. So ahead of tomorrow, what are the three things? So if you can only do three things, what would those be? So that's your 3x3, three for the day, three for the week. So that is strategy number one. Strategy number two is a pattern which is called finish early, accelerate faster. And what does that mean? Well, it's a pattern in productivity and team management, and this applies to yourself and or your team or your business, where you intentionally take on less for the week. That's why the 3x3 strategy is also important, but intentionally take on less, smaller chunks that you can slam dunk. It's like lowering the basketball rim so you can slam dunk. What happens is, number one, again, you're going to be prioritizing the things that you should be getting done first by taking on less, you're choosing those things that you want to get done and knock off your plate. But also, if you're getting them done early, what happens is the pattern is great, especially for teams, is because you're increasing your momentum and your confidence because you don't have that guilt. You've gotten it done, and you're hungry because your morale's up, so you're going to tackle more. So this is a productivity pattern where you intentionally take on less. The other side effect, of course, which I'll get into in the next one, is you're lowering your half-built bridges, meaning that you have less work in process, so that you're actually completing stuff, moving on, completing stuff, moving on. So you take on less, complete more. The opposite of that is starting something new, and then you've got a bunch of half-built bridges. And that analogy I use is, you've built 90% of this bridge, let's say, and it looks beautiful, but the cars can't cross it yet, so it's not done. And up until this point, it's meaningless and useless until you can actually close that loop, close that bridge. And so, finish early, accelerate faster is another pattern that if you apply, you're going to achieve greater results as well. And then we were just talking about that minimizing your work in process and working on less in a given period of time will help you to actually close the loop and complete more activities. Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about is something that I call mini contracts. So it's like, if you're going into a big agreement, this lengthy contract. Mini contracts are something that I refer to as, if there's something that you want to achieve or accomplish, create in a very tangible way, and you can do this just by thinking through, okay, what is it that I need to get done? How much time do I want to attribute? So if it's a big monster project, what is something you can do this week? How much time can you set aside to do that? Is it 30 minutes? Is it an hour? Look at your calendar and put it in as a contract and see it as a contract and protect yourself around that time so that you can actually put in that 30 minutes or 1 hour to complete it. Turn off your phone, close your door, and look at it as a contract. And then at this stage, you've taken it so far that you're either going to take it seriously as a contract or you're not. And but by formalizing it in this way, thinking through, okay, I want to spend 30 minutes or an hour on it, put it in your calendar ahead of time and see it as a contract. So that's mini contracts. The next one that I want to talk to you about is something that I call anchors. Another way that I look at it are future gifts, and I've talked about this before, but I'll give you an example. So I like to make this process fun. So getting stuff done in your world and in your life and your business should be fun. It should not be a huge chore, and we could make it fun by giving ourselves carrots. And I always do. My wife might make fun of me, but I've got kind of these mini carrots that I set up for myself. So at the end of the day, I might have a little gift for myself. So it could be something small, like one of the drinks that I like, which it could be like a $5, $6 drink that I like, and I'll have it there. And if I knock off, those three things that I wanted to for the day, I will reward myself. And if I don't, I won't. And I'm strict on this because it makes it fun to get this stuff done. And when you do get it done, you're reinforcing um, the the activity, which might not be fun for you, but you're anchoring it to something that's positive, right? And the same thing, I always have these big, audacious, tangible goals in front of me, and right now, I always have a really nice bottle of wine, and I look at it. It's right by our coffee machine, and I have to look at that thing until I achieve this. So these are for like bigger goals that might take like 6 months up to a year, typically 6 months, a quarter to 6 months, and I'll have something. It could be before it was a Peloton bike, so that was like what was that, a $2,000 purchase around that. So I could not reward myself until I got this massive thing done. And I had to look at it every day. I had it set up so it would taunt me every day and motivate me. And then, yeah, so now when I look at it, it's tied to that achievement. So anchoring your achievements to either think of them as like future gifts, right? Um, or it could be a mini vacation. So we're going next weekend again. This was another one that we had set up. We booked 2 nights at a really nice hotel south of the island of Victoria, and that was for unlocking a big achievement that we had set out for ourselves. So this is a way that you can just make it fun and reward yourself and just enjoy the journey. And then the last thing I will mention in terms of how I'm setting our team up for success is, and I've talked about this one before as well, but there's 2 references for this pattern. One, it's referenced as Grandma's Law. The other way it's referred to is the Premack principle. The Premack principle. And so that means that if you have a list of things in front of you to get done, all of us naturally are going to be inclined to pick those that we like, that are most desirable first, followed by least desirable. So we're going to order our list. I mean, we might write it down in a different way, but usually reality will map to you selecting by default the most desirable to the least desirable. And so the Premack principle has found that by flipping that equation, in other words, ordering the things that you need to get done from least desirable at the top to most desirable at the bottom, you're creating somewhat of a flywheel, because every activity or task that you check off leads you closer and closer to more and more desirable activities. So you're creating a feedback loop that is creating just more positive feedback as you're checking things off. So how we're going to be applying this is, if you were to just write down a list of all the stuff that's floating around in your head that you might have been putting off for a long, long time, write them down and then order them from least desirable would be number 1 to most desirable, right? So if you got a list of 10 or 20, that least desirable thing would be number 1, could be your taxes or something that you're not looking forward to. And then the most desirable would be the highest number, the bottom of the list. And what you want to do there, and we can go back to that 3x3, is rather than eating that whole elephant, what is a 1 bite sized chunk that you can bite off of that thing that's least desirable? And with the 3x3, here's a way that you can marry these 2 things together. Pick the top 3 things, so the top 3 least desirable, and for this week, pick the smallest action that you can take on all 3 of those to move it down the field. So you're not going to complete the whole thing, because that could have some negative consequences to your morale. Really, really small. Again, lower the net, make it really small, so you can move the needle on these 3 things that are least desirable on your list. And you're going to feel amazing, because that guilt is going to be lifted from your shoulders, and then you're going to create that flywheel just by the nature of the things remaining on your list are going to be more desirable. So if you do all of these things or a combination thereof, you are going to have an awesome advantage when it comes to just improving your momentum, your morale, making the journey fun. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's just behind the scenes of how I'm setting it up for our accountability, just to help people get into momentum. And then, of course, the other piece to it will be people actually making declarations of what it is they want to achieve, and then supporting each other and encouraging each other and holding each other accountable in that way and making it fun. So I hope that's helpful. That's a little behind the scenes of how we're structuring it. And these patterns, again, are, if you follow them, they work. They're proven patterns for productivity and increasing morale and momentum and all that good stuff. So I'm near the Medi Center. Wish me luck. I'm going to get these stitches out, and I'm going to start looking like a normal human again here pretty soon. So enjoy the rest of your day. Hope that was helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Hey, Tim Uchuk here, and real quick, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, if you could take a couple quick seconds to give it a rating, it would be very much appreciated. And secondly, if you're looking for more tools and strategies on how you can crush it in life and business, just head on over to bookwithtim.com, where I've put together a free case study which shows you how to unlock unprecedented freedom today by using the 2 power levers. Just head on over to bookwithtim.com. Until next time, wishing you success and freedom in your business. Cheers.